At 3 a.m., my doorbell rang repeatedly. A man on the camera whispered, "I finally found you." I locked the doors, but my phone vibrated. A text from my mom, "Don't make a sound. He's inside." My closet door slowly creaked open, and a voice behind me chuckled, "Too late." I live in a quiet neighborhood in a small town in Ohio. Nothing much happens here. It's the kind of place where everyone knows each other, and the most excitement we get is the annual fair. I moved back in with my mom after college to save some money. She works night shifts at the hospital, so most nights, I'm alone in the house. It was a typical Friday night. I stayed up late watching movies, trying to unwind after a long week. Around 2:30 a.m., I decided to call it a night. I locked all the doors, turned off the lights, and headed to my room. Just as I was about to drift off to sleep, the doorbell rang. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Who would be ringing the doorbell at this hour? Then it rang again. And again. 3 times in quick succession. My heart started to race. I grabbed my phone and checked the security camera feed. There was a man standing at the front door. He was tall, wearing a dark hoodie that obscured his face. He leaned in close to the camera and whispered, "I finally found you." I froze. I didn't recognize him. I didn't know what he meant. I immediately locked my bedroom door and called the police. As I was on the phone, I received a text from my mom. It read, "Don't make a sound. He's inside." I stared at the message in disbelief. How could he be inside? I had locked all the doors. I hadn't heard anything. Then, I heard the floorboards creak outside my room. I held my breath, trying to stay as quiet as possible. The doorknob rattled slightly, then stopped. I heard footsteps moving away from my door. I waited for what felt like an eternity before I dared to move. I slowly approached my closet, thinking I could hide there if necessary. As I reached for the handle, the door slowly creaked open on its own. A voice behind me chuckled, "Too late." I couldn't sleep for days after that night. Even after I got out of the hospital, I kept replaying it in my head. The whisper. The closet. The voice behind me. But no one believed me. The cops said there was no forced entry. My mom said I must have been dreaming. Stress, maybe. A breakdown. But I know what I saw. What I heard. I moved out of that house and into a small apartment across town. Nothing fancy. Just a one-bedroom near the old train tracks. I figured being somewhere new might help. But the nightmares followed me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that man at the door, whispering like he knew something I didn't. One night, I decided to check the cloud backup from the home security system. The police had said the footage was corrupted, but I never checked it myself. I logged in. The files were there. But only one clip had survived. Just one. It was exactly at 3:02 a.m. I clicked it. The screen flickered. Static for a moment. Then, him. The man stood at my door, breathing heavily. His face was mostly hidden by the hoodie, but I saw enough to tell something was wrong with his mouth. It was too wide. Like someone had pulled the corners of his lips too far back. He leaned into the camera again. This time, I could hear what he said clearly. "I never left." My heart sank. I paused the video, staring at his eyes. They were too black. No whites. Just 2 deep pits. Then my screen glitched. The browser froze. But not before one final frame flashed, a still image. Of me. Asleep in my new apartment. I slammed my laptop shut. There was no camera in my room. No webcam. No baby monitor. Nothing. So how did he? I packed a bag in 5 minutes flat. I was ready to drive anywhere. Sleep in the car if I had to. I grabbed my keys and opened my apartment door. Something was wedged under it. A small, crumpled envelope. No name. No stamp. Just a wax seal on the back. Dark red, almost black. I opened it with shaky fingers. Inside, a note. Block letters. Jagged handwriting. You moved. That's rude. That's when the lights flickered. The air went cold, like someone had opened a freezer in the hallway. I slammed the door shut, locked it, and backed away. I didn't sleep that night either. A week later, things got worse. I started noticing strange people around town. Not strange like, weird haircut, strange. I mean they didn't blink. They stood too still. I'd catch one of them staring at me at the gas station, or standing outside my building at 4 a.m. One time, a man followed me through the grocery store, aisle by aisle, never saying a word. Just smiling. Too wide. One night, I was walking to my car when I heard my mom's voice call my name. But it wasn't her. She was out of state for a medical seminar. I turned. And I saw her standing in the middle of the street. Same face. Same scrubs. Same soft voice. But her eyes were solid black. Like his. She waved slowly. Then whispered, "You let him in." I didn't wait. I got in the car and drove all the way to Indianapolis that night. No stops. No music. I just drove. I stayed at a cheap motel. Slept with the lights on. But when I woke up, there was another envelope on the nightstand. This one said, "Running makes it fun." I started digging. I went online. Deep forums. Old internet boards. Reddit threads with 0 upvotes and weird usernames. That's where I found someone who called themselves Watcher27. They posted about something they called, the one who waits. They said once he marks you, it's over. He watches you through reflections. Screens. Even shadows. And he can take shapes of people you love. They said he's ancient. Older than the world. And once he speaks your name, you're already his. They said the only way to delay him, is to never speak to him. Never answer. Never look directly at his eyes. I remembered the closet. The whisper. Too late. I went back home. I had to know more. I had to find answers. But the house was wrong. It looked the same, but the street felt darker. Quieter. The grass in the yard was too still. No wind. No sound. I walked inside. My mom's photos were gone. The walls were blank. Then I heard it. A slow creak from upstairs. The closet door. Again. I stepped back. But there was a mirror on the wall. And in the reflection, I saw him. Standing right behind me. Smiling. And whispering my name. I haven't left since. I keep the mirrors covered. I don't sleep much. Every time I blink, he's closer. Every time I turn off the lights, he breathes louder. And last night, the TV turned on by itself. Static. Then the screen cleared. It was a live feed of my bedroom. From above. I stared up at the ceiling. Nothing there. But on the screen, he was leaning over me. Smiling. And whispering. I finally found you. Again. I didn't sleep again after that. Something changed the moment I saw that feed. I realized then. I was no longer just being watched. I was being hunted. I called the cops again, hoping maybe they'd take me seriously this time. They came, did a sweep, checked everything. They found no cameras, no bugs, no signs of forced entry. The one officer, he seemed uneasy. He asked if I was on any medication. I said no. Then he paused. Was your mom a nurse? He asked. I nodded. He looked at me for a moment too long. She was the one who helped with my dad, he said quietly. Back in 2003. Before she passed. I froze. My mom hadn't passed. I just talked to her last week. I told him that. He looked confused. Pulled out his phone. Scrolled for a second. Then handed it to me. There it was. An obituary. Her photo. My address. The date of death, March 4, 2003. I nearly dropped the phone. He muttered, I remember the funeral. It was raining. I sat down, trying to breathe. I called her cell. Disconnected. I searched her on social media. Nothing. It was like she never existed. Everything I remembered, photos, texts, voicemails, were gone. Deleted. Wiped clean. But there was one file left in my gallery. Just one. It was a photo of me, sleeping. Taken from above. Again. I stared at it, hands shaking. Then I noticed something new. In the corner of the photo, barely visible, was a door I didn't recognize. A rusted, iron door, with deep claw marks across it. It wasn't in my house. It wasn't in the motel. But something deep in my gut knew where it was. It was under the house. My childhood house. I drove there without thinking. When I got there, the place looked abandoned. Like it had been empty for years. Boarded windows. Overgrown yard. But the front door was unlocked. I stepped inside. It smelled like rot and wet dirt. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I walked through the hall, down to the basement. I hadn't been down there in years. The light switch didn't work, so I used my phone flashlight. The basement was colder than I remembered. That's when I saw it. The door. Exactly like in the photo. Rusted. Heavy. And humming, softly, like it was alive. I didn't want to open it. But my hand moved on its own. The second I touched the knob, I felt pain shoot through my arm, like lightning. The lights flickered. A scream echoed from behind the door. My mom's voice. Screaming my name. Then it changed. Deeper. Broken. Not human. I found you. I ran. But the door burst open behind me. Darkness spilled out. Not shadow, darkness. Thick. Moving. Alive. It crawled along the floor like smoke with claws. I ran up the stairs, 2 at a time, but it was already at my heels. I could feel it grabbing, pulling at my legs. Whispers filled the air. I've always been with you. You let me in. You are mine. I made it to the front door. But when I opened it, it wasn't my street. It was black sky. Red moon. Dead trees. Screams in the distance. The world was wrong. I tried to go back inside, but the house was gone. I was standing in a wasteland. Alone. No phone. No time. No wind. Just me and that voice. And then I heard him again. Right behind me. Time to wake up. I blinked. And opened my eyes. I was in my bed. Daylight outside. The birds were singing. It was morning. Had it been a dream? I ran to my phone. Checked the date. April 4th. My missed texts were back. My mom's number was there. I called her. She answered. Said I must have had a bad dream. I breathed. Laughed, even. But as I hung up, I noticed the closet door was slightly open. And on the mirror next to it, a message was written in fog, "Not yet." That night, I got an email from an unknown address. No subject. No text. Just a video. I clicked it. It was me. Sitting at my desk. Typing. Right now. And behind me, he was smiling. Again. I stared at the video, heart thudding so loud it drowned out everything else. It was me. Wearing the same hoodie. Sitting in the same spot. At the desk, typing. But the angle, whoever filmed it, they were standing right behind me. And I didn't flinch. I didn't react. Just kept typing like I didn't know he was there. I stood up slowly. Turned around. Nothing there. Just my messy bookshelf. My backpack. I picked up the laptop and slammed it shut. Threw it across the room like it was cursed. It hit the floor hard. The screen cracked. Lights flickered. The air in the room felt thicker. Like someone was holding their breath. I checked the mirror again. That message? Not yet. It was fading. But now there was something else beneath it. Smaller words. Written in tiny, almost childlike letters. Say his name. I didn't. I won't. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the corner of the room with every light on. A baseball bat in my hands, for whatever good it would do. At 3:02 a.m., all the lights died. My phone lit up. A text, "Wake up." Then, a knock at the closet. Not the door. Inside the closet. Like someone was knocking on the back wall. Then another knock. Then fingers poked out from the gap under the closet door. Long gray. Moving like they didn't belong to bones. I screamed. Swung the bat. Hit nothing. The fingers were gone. But the closet door was now wide open. Empty. The next day, I drove 3 states away. Found a small town with no hotels, no cell service, no one I knew. Paid cash for a cabin in the woods. It was quiet. For 2 days. On the 3rd night, I lit a fire. Tried to clear my head. I pulled out an old notebook I hadn't touched in years, thinking maybe writing would help me understand what was happening. On the first page, someone had already written something, "I am under your skin." I threw it in the fire. Didn't even think. And when the fire burned it, I swear I heard him scream. It wasn't pain though. It was laughter. I tried to end it. To stop it. To walk into traffic. I didn't care anymore. But every time I tried, something stopped me. A power outage. A car that wouldn't start. A stranger walking up and asking for directions at the wrong moment. Like the world wouldn't let me go. Like he wouldn't let me go. A few weeks later, I woke up to a familiar sound. The doorbell. I was in a totally different place. No one should have known I was there. I checked the peephole. There was no one outside. But the security camera showed me on the porch. Smiling. Holding something behind my back. Then I spoke. I found him. And the screen cut out. I don't know how this ends. I don't know what he wants. Who he really is. But every night at 3:02 a.m., I hear a whisper. Sometimes from the closet. Sometimes from the mirror. Sometimes from inside my own head. He just says one word. Over and over. Soon. So if you're reading this, don't answer your door at 3 a.m. Don't trust your mirrors. And never say his name. Because once he knows you know. It's already too late. 3.